The method for completing the square involves taking the coefficient of x, that is the number before the x, and halving it. We're going to place that number inside a bracket, so we have x plus half of that coefficient, all squared. Then we're going to have to subtract half of that coefficient squared, and then we have to add on the number that's at the end, or subtract the number depending on what the question is. So the best way to show this is just by going through a few equations. So we have to actually solve these equations using completing the square. So the first method is the completing of the square. So what we do is we take this coefficient of x and half it. So inside our bracket is going to be x plus 2 squared. But then we have to subtract that 2 squared again. And we have to copy down the number that is at the end. In this case, it's a plus 1. So that tidies up. Our bracket just stays as x plus 2 squared. If we're taking away 2 squared, we're subtracting 4. And adding 1 gives us 0. So tidying it all up, we will have x plus 2 squared minus 3 equals 0. So this quadratic can be rewritten as x plus 2 all squared subtract 3. Now the purpose of doing that is so we can actually solve this equation. So what we can do is bring that minus 3 across, and we have x plus 2 all squared is equal to 3. And remember, we're looking for a value of x, and this is a quadratic, and quadratics usually have 2 solutions. So let's just bring that up to the right hand side here. X plus 2 squared is equal to 3. We're going to take the square root of both sides. So we have x plus 2 is equal to not only the square root of 3, but it's going to be either plus or minus. And because we are looking for x, we'll then bring that plus 2 across, and we'll have a minus 2 plus or minus the square root of 3. So the next question, take your coefficient of x and half it. So it's going to be x plus 4 squared, but then we'll have to subtract that 4 squared again. And then just copy down your minus 10 here and here. Tidy up these two numbers. So your bracket is still x plus 4 squared. We're subtracting 4 squared, so we're subtracting 16, and then we're taking away another 10. So we have x plus 4 squared minus 26 equals 0. And then to solve it, bring that minus 26 across. Take the square root of both sides. And then bring your bring your 4 across. You have minus 4 plus or minus the square root of 26. Another question then. Coefficient of x here is plus 14, so we have x plus 7 in the brackets, but then take away 7 squared. So then you have x plus 7 squared. Subtract 49, subtract 4. X plus 7 squared, subtract 53. Bring your 53 across. Take the square root of both sides. And then move your 7 over. And I'll just do one more example because this one has a negative coefficient. So we're going to copy down a minus 4. And then we're going to square a minus 4. Now it doesn't actually matter if there's a minus in there or not, because when we square it becomes positive. So our bracket is x minus 4 squared. And then subtract 16, subtract 2 equals 0. So x minus 4 squared, subtract 18 is 0. X minus 4 squared is equal to 18. Square root of both sides. And then move your minus 4 over. And that is solving a quadratic using completing the square.